consumption of alcoholic beverages has been a contentious topic in American history, dating back to the colonial period. In May 1657, the General Court of Massachusetts made the sale of strong liquor, whether known by the name of rum, whiskey, wine, brandy, or etc., to the Native Americans, illegal. In general, informal social controls in the home and community helped maintain the expectation that the abuse of alcohol was unacceptable. Drunkenness was condemned and punished, but only as an abuse of a God-given gift. Drink itself was not looked upon as culpable any more than food deserved blame for the sin of gluttony. Excess was a personal indiscretion. Of course, when these informal controls failed, there were always legal options, most notably prohibition, enacted in the United States as a nationwide constitutional ban on the production, importation, transportation, and sale of alcoholic beverages from 1920 to 1933. Today on the show, Budweiser brewmasters and Jim Beam's master distillers created a new brew in honor of the 85th anniversary of the repeal of the heinous Prohibition Act on December 5th, 1933. That's right, folks. Today on the show, we're drinking Budweiser Copper Lager.
Cheers, Joseph.
Cheers.
Beautifully written intro, by the way.
Thank you.
I always like
written
it
by me.
when you put in the time to write those out for us.
Hey, I had to pick a few different chunks of the Wikipedia article in order
I
to
like
do that.
the chunks you picked. I hope you will continue to pick my chunks on this podcast again and again.
I don't know what that means. Like your comedy chunks? Say it out
You
loud.
tell me.
Did you drink it yet? What do you think?
So Joey used a bottle opener. These are twist off for
they?
those following along at home.
When in doubt, you use a bottle opener. For the
No,
one ahead
it
of you.
works. You're right. It's nice.
It is nice. You taste the kind of the whiskey flavor.
I've this winter I bought a New Holland Dragon's Milk. It's like bourbon barrel aged stout. It's like 12% alcohol or something. But this kind of tastes like that. This is just over 6, I think.
Just over 6. Okay, which is interesting because it's got such a strong flavor with Jim Beam.
You think they amp that up a little bit beyond the aging on the bourbon barrels? Do they put a little, flavor extract in there? You think?
It's possible. The on the bottle itself, it says this is a flavorful American copper lager, brewed with
Your eyes going bad?
2-row barley and aged on a real Jim Beam's bourbon barrel staves.
Joel Staves.
Staves.
I think.
For a toasted oak aroma, a deliciously nutty taste with caramel rye and vanilla notes, and a smooth finish. So they claim they are not injecting anything. No tinctures.
Stave.
So
A
brewed on-
vertical wooden post or plank in a building or other structure.
Wow. So they aged barrel staves.
C is for cold cans.
Okay. Well, so they're claiming there's no tinctures involved whatsoever.
No tinctures.
Yeah. You used to have a history with tinctures. You want to get into that
I
at
don't
all?
know if I do. I don't know if I do. There are a lot of tinctures in this world, folks. Be careful about them. They should be, in their own right, prohibited in this country.
I used to go to Nick's apartment, and he'd have all his tinctures, and there'd be like liquids bubbling and like strange creatures floating behind glass, and he'd be muttering incantations with his eyes rolled in the back of his head. I'd be like, Nick, it's time for cold cans.
Yeah, mason jars full of eyeballs and fetal pigs and stuff like that.
Right, and he used to do these gimmick parties where, you'd turn the lights off, you'd stick your hand in a bowl, and then it'd be like, oh, are these eyeballs? And then they were supposed to be just grapes, but it never was with Nick.
Right.
Everything was always legit.
Right.
And you wouldn't be able to even see the grapes. He wouldn't let you. So when the lights went back on, all the stuff was gone.
I said, yeah. They're white grapes if you've ever had those. And the people who are fancy are like, oh, of course I've had white grapes.
Yeah, and they're eating them.
And then I said, yeah, pop one in your mouth, buddy.
Sick fuck. Yeah. That was a weird time. That was when you first came out to Seattle.
Yeah, and then I had that exorcism, of course. That was the turning point for me.
You had spun your head all the way around.
Episode, I think, 32 of Cold Cans is when that happened.
32, yes, the magic number.
Oh, 33, sorry.
33, yeah, that's right, 33. I was going with it, too. You know one topic we haven't talked a lot about?
Exorcisms.
Exorcisms. What do you think? Legit?
I'm all in on exorcisms.
Really?
No. I mean,
are they still doing
this gets
exorcisms?
back to our, like, oh, yeah. You kidding me? Your guy who sells all the, like, disaster prep food, I bet he does exorcisms.
Oh, what's his name? Jim Backer.
Jim Backer.
Look at all this rice.
I think, no, we don't need to get back into that topic because it's going to fall similarly on my thoughts on astrology and religion and stuff like that.
That's right.
If they think it's happening, it's happening.
Sure. There is on the nationalcatholicregister.com, there's a headline from 2017 that says U.S. exorcists, demonic activity is on the rise.
Oh, wow.
A look at the growing need to battle the devil.
Wow.
So, yes, modern exorcism, an alarming increase in demonic activity being reported by those who work in the exorcism ministry and the exorcist for the Archdiocese of Indianapolis. Although steps are being taken to increase the number of exorcists, demand is still outpacing supply.
Okay, so it's a lucrative business, is what I'm hearing.
It's a lucrative model. Backer should get into it.
That was actually a Catholic diocese website? Is that what you said?
This is the National Catholicregister.com. I don't think it has any official affiliation with the church. And number 5 article trending right now is the old and new socialism of Bernie Sanders. Should Catholics support it? I'm not going to click on that.
Okay. I mean, that's at least interesting.
All right, I'll click on it.
Though I don't want to talk politics or any more religion.
You should,
combine
it into one topic.
Let's treat each episode like it's a first date, Joe. We got to avoid those topics. No, what are you not supposed to talk about? Family, hobbies, and goals?
Yeah, and goals. Only talk about politics and religion. No, we shouldn't support Bernie Sanders is the
verdict?
Yeah, is the verdict. Young people in the U.S. lack a perspective of how lucky we are, of how vulnerable our free market system is, and how quickly we can follow the path of Venezuela if we implement the wrong policies.
Ah, so it's the Meghan McCain argument. Point at Venezuela.
Yes. And this is all due to the failure of the education system to teach about the history of socialism. So instead of educating your kids, take them to the National Catholic Register, who reported that exorcisms are on the rise, demonic activity. We went in a different direction than I thought this was going to go.
What the heck, man?
Where did this come from?
Some bit. You start doing some bit about how I do tinctures and eyeballs and stuff.
And then, no, I was going to change the subject, and you said, exorcisms. And then I was like, are there modern exorcisms? The subject I was going to change
to... The curious mind can go on and on forever into eternity.
And that's really what this podcast is about. Curious
minds want to know.
Yeah.
Are exorcisms real?
Yes, they are. Well, exorcisms are real.
What's your take, Joe?
About what?
Is it worthwhile?
Doing an
exorcism? Would you consider having your child exorcised?
Having a snake oil salesman come into my house and do a bunch of...
And put down wood flooring.
No, I don't think that that's a effective use of religion. I think religion should be a system of beliefs, maybe a moral backbone to your life, potentially the yearning of knowledge for something more beyond this physical plane. But it should not be paying somebody to come into your house and expel a demon out of somebody's body.
What if the demon, real or imagined, is an impediment to their moral system or their sort of peace of mind? Then what?
I think that's a red herring. Red herring? Is that the right word? I think they're trying to...
Yeah, it could be.
I don't think so. No, red herring is like a decoy. They're attributing something else, some other moral impediment in their life. I'm not going to get into Jungian or Freudian psychology, but there may be some other things going on in their life that they're just taking the easy road out saying, well, it's a demon. That's my take on it.
Of course.
Yeah. I'm not anti-religion by any stretch of the imagination.
Nor am I.
I am anti-hiring an exorcist to come to your house.
Okay.
I'll go out on a limb and say that.
Wow, bold stance. So what else? We were just... Go ahead.
You fucking go ahead.
I was just talking about your ski trips.
Ski trips.
I wasn't doing a weird thing. I want to talk about you.
Skiing's
fun. I want
to
talk about me. I want to talk about number one of my.
I think when I shit and I fuck.
What I drink. Hey, how's that Budweiser Copper Locker going down, Joe?
Well, this is a topic I wanted to get at. We haven't talked a lot on this show about hard liquor. Maybe for good reason.
No, you're right.
And Jim Beam, what exactly is Jim Beam? It's bourbon, right?
Bourbon whiskey.
Bourbon whiskey. Do you still drink hard liquor in any capacity? I know you don't very often. And when you do, what is your what's your like mixer? I always struggle to pick a mixer.
Sure.
Like I'm at a bar, if I'm not getting a beer, I'm like, I don't know which one to fucking pick.
Sure.
What drink?
So when I was coming of age, but a young nubile boy, I would drink whiskey waters is what I would get at the bar most often. Because I didn't like soda.
Okay.
Was the main reason.
Good Lord.
Yeah, it was disgusting. Because, of course, it's rail whiskey during those times.
Yeah.
If he was feeling really trashy, I'd go vodka water.
Oh, boy.
That's real bad. That Madison tap water along with some Fleischmann's.
Rail vodka and tap water.
Yeah.
So I came to the
ice,
wrong...
please, I say.
Came to the wrong person.
Hey, hold that ice. Nowadays, you're right, I don't drink liquor that often.
Now that you're rolling in the dough.
Yes, I distill my own on my estate. No, I will occasionally do a nice gin and tonic, like before a dinner or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Or, out on a patio in the heat, summer heat.
That makes sense. I like that. Summer heat is a good time, like an inviting time for cocktails, like a nice, like a mojito or something like that. I usually stay away from rum, but gin is a good refreshing drink. I like a gin and tonic. Some like mint with gin is good.
Sure.
But I normally don't get any hard alcohol.
Right, you're a big anti-hard A guy. You said I'm going to keep to beer.
I keep to beer. I try to avoid like a lot of cheap wine because I get too hungover. Hard alcohol makes me hungover. I hate how it feels. The only way I can clear hangover is to hire an exorcist to come to my house and expel the demons.
Well, you got
from
one.
my body.
Got to have one on retainer like I do.
Yeah.
He'll be there within the hour.
Yeah,
he actually lives upstairs.
Yeah. So I avoid it at all costs.
Sure.
Beer doesn't really ever make me feel bad unless I go really hog wild.
Because of the volume thing, right?
Yeah,
You're
exactly.
like, it's so much volume to go in to get the same amount of alcohol as you would compared to liquor.
Yeah, and I don't want to get over drunk.
Right.
That's never my goal. I like, if I'm out buzzing with friends, I want to be buzzing. And I just typically, like with a hard alcohol mixed drink, I will drink it at the same pace that I drink beer.
That's part of the issue, for sure.
Yeah.
And I think, too, it becomes an issue when you do cut out liquor, and then if you ever try to drink it again, you're going to have much lower tolerance than if you were used to drinking, 3 or 4 mixed drinks in an evening. Now you go, years without really drinking them, and then you have 2, and you're like
shithouse,
a little woozy. Yeah,
yeah. It's got to really be a special occasion, or like it's a dinner where I'm not really going to drink much that night anyway.
Sure. Sometimes
pre-dinner, then I'll be like, I'll have a cocktail tonight because I'm not gonna. It's not a Saturday night. I'm not gonna turn it on, regardless. So
sure.
Yeah, I stay away from this stuff, and that's kind of why. To get back to this beer, this kind of hybrid concoction doesn't really quite working for me, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't like the taste of whiskey in it. Like it's such a hint of whiskey. It's kind of like a LaCroix of whiskey that it's kind of tastes like when you burp when you're hungover the day after.
Sure.
And a little whiskey comes up and you want to die. That's the flavor that they added to this beer.
Yeah, I think it's predominantly the oak of like a bourbon barrel more than anything. Even more than like a liquor taste to me. It's like the oak, which I don't really like.
Yeah. I don't
so
either.
This is, it's a decent sipper, I guess, but it's not something like that Dragon's Milk thing I mentioned it's just so velvety smooth, and it's, of course, a sipper because it is 12% alcohol, I think.
Right.
But that one I prefer much to this one, though it was like $17 for a 4-pack, so it's also pretty pricey.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember what the price is on this one, but it was certainly sold at a premium, even though it is Budweiser.
How big of a pack did you buy of this? You said you got it at some...
I believe I got a 4-pack. Like they came in a little, little square 4-pack.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just chilled a couple of them before I came down here. It seemed like a good choice because I've seen this on the shelves, And if anybody, for some fucking reason, is listening to this podcast to figure out which beers to try, if I were listening to it like that, I'd want to hear somebody's take on drinking it before I picked it off the shelf.
Hey, you're a man of the people. You're looking out for the nation.
I'm a man of the people. The 1%, get out of here. The 1% of the 1%.
That's pretty good.
But if you're Catholic, don't vote for me. I'm only a man of the people. Did you learn the lessons from Venezuela?
He has never said that. Though we're not going to get into it, of course.
Of course
This is a non-political podcast.
Of course.
What was I going to say?
Did you vote for Bernie or Biden?
Our ballots are not due yet, Joe. I'm letting the chips fall.
Wow.
That's not true. I already sealed it.
You sealed
I
it?
just haven't mailed it.
Signed, sealed, but not
Now,
delivered.
that's one thing we could talk about is the ability to mail in your ballot in Washington. And I'm not talking you're going to mail it in as you're not going to pay attention and do your homework and research on which candidates are best for your way of life and point of view on the world. Now, I'm talking about...
That's well said, Nick.
You can put it into an envelope and send it in. Now I don't know what I'm doing.
I don't either. Shock jockey?
I think
Bernie
so. Yeah,
Sanders
not
on as a
even...
kid?
Right. It's not even Rush Limbaugh. It's just shock jock. Yeah, we can fill out our ballot. It gets mailed to us. We send it out postage free, or there are drop-off spots around town.
Yep.
Obviously, the best thing for voter turnout, if that was actually the goal nationwide, this would be much more prevalent.
Of course. But the voter fraud, Nick. There'd be such rampant voter fraud.
Right.
I voted for Bernie 175 times.
Yeah, you go around your neighborhood on the
steal
day,
all their ballots.
day ballots are mailed out.
Well, I go to the photocopy machine. I copy all the ballots.
Oh, wow.
And then I'll send it all in.
That doesn't even seem like the best way to do fraudulent voting. That seems like a lot of footwork.
How would you do fraudulent voting?
Oh, man. How would I do it? I wait for the app to come out, and then I'm a good hacker, so I hack the app.
I hope to God no app comes out anytime soon for voting. We're like 25 years away from technology being... As a guy who works in technology, I can tell you how fucked technology is. We're way far away before trusting our democracy to a consumer-facing app. It would have to go through such rigid, strict...
So it shouldn't be made by a private company funded by one of the candidates?
Probably not.
What?
No. Are you a Rat Pete guy? You like Pete?
I don't have to have an opinion on Pete anymore. I think Pete's fine.
Yeah, you do. He's endorsed Joe Biden.
He did.
So if
you think he's VP or Klobuchar?
Who? Neither.
Oh, really? Who's it going to be?
Why is Joe going to pick
Tulsi?
Pete Buttigieg?
Because Klobuchar gave him Minnesota by some accounts.
Yeah, they're in the cabinet if they want to be. I don't know if Pete is. He's only ever been the mayor of a city.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think it's Pete. I think it's Amy.
Tulsi is actually an interesting pick. Pick a Republican and put her in there.
Right. That would be, yeah. This is like Sarah Palin all over again.
Who do you think I'm going to pick?
Republican governor in there.
I'll tell you what. I'm not picking anybody from the 1%. I'll pick somebody from the people.
That's interesting too. Yeah, who would Bernie pick?
I can't. The establishment fucked me. Absolutely fucked me.
Of course they did.
Yeah. So then, who would he pick? Who's he going to pick?
Tom Steyer.
Tom Steyer.
Give me Tommy, baby.
Andrew Yang.
Oh yeah, I heard he might run for mayor of New York. Do you hear that?
No, that's cool.
I didn't even know he lived in New York. I just thought he was like a Silicon Valley guy because I think that's how he made his money. Right? It was in tech.
I don't know actually. To be honest,
I guess I'm not sure either. But we are very informed.
Well, very informed.
Who did you vote for?
Yeah, Bernie. Yeah, fuck it. I can say it out loud. I just think the message resonates with people. I think he'll dial back on the socialist rhetoric, not necessarily his policies, but the way he describes his policies when he's in the general. And I think the difference between this and 2016, I've been pessimistic about the 2020 election for years now. I always said Trump's going to get reelected. But now that I'm kind of in the zeitgeist, I think that in 2016, the threat of Trump wasn't a big deal to most people. We just all assumed there's no way he gets elected.
Right.
So the voter turnout was low. We didn't care. And we were more free to be like, you know what? Hillary Clinton's not perfect either, but she's going to be the president. So let's talk about her imperfections. I think now it's no longer the threat of Trump. There's the reality of Trump, which will change the rhetoric a little bit. So it's going to be like whoever, whether it's Bernie or Biden, I do think people will rally around him. I don't think the never never Bernie or never Biden crowd will actually amount to much. Maybe some circles of Twitter, but for the most part, most of the country will come out.
Yeah.
Twitter.
That's the weird thing about being on Twitter. It's such a small percentage of the population, but when you're on there, it does seem like, oh, that has 10,000 retweets. That's like gospel.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. That
doesn't mean a thing.
No, there's plenty of people not on Twitter that are going to decide this election.
Right.
And I do think most people will rally around the candidate, so I'm very optimistic. And so then I decided, well, if either candidate will be benefited from that, which of these two would I want to put in office?
Right. Which one reflects a worldview that I would want to live in?
Mine's Burn Dog. It would have been Elizabeth Warren, but she just kind of fell out of being competitive after Super Tuesday.
Right.
What are we doing? I thought we were going to avoid talking politics.
You pushed us down this road. If listeners go back, that's probably the third time you brought up politics, and then we finally dived into it.
1% of listeners would go back and listen.
Less than one person.
Well, much less. Somebody's toe.
Or no, I guess it'd be much more than 1%, or much more than one person, right? No, yeah, much less.
Much less.
Well, we have 30,000 listeners per episode?
It's 300,000. Yeah,
300,000. Okay.
So, yeah, we'll have a few hundred people that are interested.
Yeah, sorry. But bourbon mash is mush in my mind.
1% of the 300,000 Cold Cairns listeners need to understand this very clearly. I don't like the bourbon mash. I don't like it one bit.
Let's do the parable or terrible.
Yeah, you brought something.
So, Cheetos Puffs are a pretty popular thing, I think. I like them. The little not nugget, but like tube-looking things, the puffs.
Yeah, I know what it looks like.
Yeah.
I think our listeners know what cheese puffs look like.
But only after my description of it would they know.
The little nugget tube-like things.
Puffs, yeah. So Sun Chips came out with the competitor.
Wow.
And they're basically the size of a little smaller than a Sun Chip square, but they're puffed.
Version.
Now these are 100% whole grain, 4 cheese. Joey, can you guess what the 4 cheeses are?
Cheddar, Parmigiano.
No. First one's right, second one's wrong.
Cheddar.
Yes.
What would they put on? Mozzarella?
Yes.
Oh, what?
I mean, it's not like it's a stringy thing. It's just like shredded up.
Pecorino?
No.
Cheddar? White cheddar?
No.
Mozzarella. What's easy? What's an easy cheese they could have used? What color are the remainder 2 cheeses?
I think they both be white.
Gouda?
Gouda's one.
That's a Gouda.
Good one, dude.
Will I get the last one?
You would know what it is. It's 2 words.
Tell me.
Monterey Jack.
Monterey Jack. That's a good choice. These are all very basic cheeses, though.
Yes, they are.
Why wouldn't they use Parmesan?
Well, I would say Gouda's a pretty flavorful thing.
Okay.
That's like kind of the star there. The other ones I think are just filler, mostly. Like cheddar and mozzarella, like dried up and put on this, that's not going to add much flavor.
No.
But I have a take on these, and I wonder what you think about their taste on their own, because I don't know if they'll necessarily pair well with a beer that neither of us likes.
They're good on their own. They don't really taste like Sun Chips at all to me.
No, they don't.
They're so cheesy.
Right.
I'd be curious to get like the actual Sun Chips flavor. Nick just flung the mic around the table into our other mic. I'd be curious to get like what is it, like garden salsa or whatever the hell the one kind of Sun Chip is. I'd like to get that flavor. This to me tastes kind of like a Cheeto cheese puff because it's so cheesy.
Yeah, it does. I think that's what they're trying to emulate too. I don't know that it's supposed to be an approximation of a Sun Chip, but I think they're better than Cheetos Puffs because Cheeto Puffs have that like super sharp chemical cheese flavor.
Yeah.
While this tastes a little more like light and dare I say natural.
It does. They taste like real cheese.
Yeah.
Is it real cheese? You said it was, right?
Yeah, there's real cheese in there, Joe.
Wow.
Every last drop is real cheese. We got whole cornmeal, vegetable oil, whole buckwheat flour, sugar, buttermilk, salt, natural flavors, onion powder, garlic powder, sour cream, Monterey Jack cheese, cheese cultures, Gouda cheese. So there's actual cheese and actual butter. Wow.
What remaining listeners we had are now gone.
No, the people are fascinated by the novelty snacks that get pumped out every week.
Do you think people are aware of novelty snacks? Like, are we raising awareness
to a level?
of this?
Oh, through the parable or terrible segment?
Yeah, amongst the people who buy snacks.
If they actually try them out?
Yeah. Do you think our listeners are trying out any of these snacks?
No.
What's your go-to snack? You go to the grocery store, you get all your stuff, you get your eggs.
Are we ranking things again?
No, I'm asking.
My go-to snack.
You get like you're going to make a few recipes, you get your ingredients, you get all your basics,
Sure.
your milk and your shit that you need, right?
Sure.
And your eggs.
Have you rated the lentils of your local grocery store yet, given the coronavirus scare?
No.
We're all going to be housebound for several months.
Coronavirus is in lentils?
No, you got to buy
your
lentils because
now.
they're shelf stable.
Hey, one interesting thing.
Sure.
I tried to buy
For the
groceries.
first time on this podcast. One interesting thing.
We didn't have a lot of time this week, so we tried to get groceries on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Which is free if you're a
Amazon Fresh, yeah.
Prime member. Yeah. So we did it this time. Sold no delivery windows.
Oh, really?
People are making a run because they don't want to go to
Totally.
grocery stores. They're scared of the coronavirus.
All the hand sanitizer in every place in Capitol Hill that I checked is gone. I think that's true of all of Seattle.
Yeah.
And then you go on Amazon or Walmart.com, it's all sold out, all out of stock. Hand sanitizer.
Is that why you have your homebrew hand sanitizer?
I got my
you gave me
homebrew.
earlier?
Yeah, I'll always have a homebrew bottle on me,
Nick
baby.
sprayed me with this stuff. It stinks. It's rancid.
Though it smells like there was an attempt to put pineapple juice in it, if you get what I'm saying.
Oh, come on.
You're right. It turned out a little rancid. Sometimes you can't fix what nature intended. But yeah, there's no hand sanitizer anywhere. Everyone is safe to say
out.
people are freaking out a little bit. And
Are you
in
freaking
Seattle,
out?
it's like the sort of the epicenter of it all in the States anyway.
Well, it's
I'm
Kirkland.
not freaking out.
It's Kirkland. It's a different city, but yes. And the headlines
There have been
it says
people in Seattle, and they're moving people to Seattle hospitals. I think is also why it's becoming a thing.
Sure, but if you talk about the epicenter, that is Kirkland, not Seattle. There are some people in Seattle with it, but there are some people in a shitload of cities with it. The where everybody's dying is that one nursing home, which is awful. It's an awful thing. It's really horrifying.
Is the nursing home that was the one in Renton, or that's in Kirkland?
That's in Kirkland.
Okay, and then they shut the schools down in Renton.
Yeah,
I think is what it was.
At the time of this recording, I think 9 people had passed away, and most of them are related to or actually were residents of that nursing home, which is again, it's a heartbreaking thing. It's so awful.
For sure.
How about you? Are you getting worried about the coronavirus? You selling off your stocks and you, are we going to delay Cold Can's IPOing?
I think we might have to delay the IPO a little bit, though the Fed did just drop the interest rate, so that's good for us.
Good for us.
Yeah, we're gonna make bongo dollars.
Yeah, I hope we make bongo dollars.
We're looking for a buyer.
I personally think it's an awful disease that we don't quite understand and has a horrible death rate. And if you are elderly or immunocompromised, it's very frightening. But I think the general public panicking and like our Costco shelves here in Seattle are completely empty of like toilet paper and stuff.
Yeah, people are hoarding stuff for sure.
It's causing much more harm than good.
Of course it is.
And that's a bummer.
And the idea that they would shut down grocery stores, which in theory is why you would need to hoard stuff. And I guess if you didn't want to go into those spaces, but it's more so if like our food supply was shut off. They would never do that. That would damage infinitely more people than the coronavirus.
Right. And
people want an excuse to freak out, though, I think.
Yeah, I think people, it's interesting. Their lives are a little more interesting.
Adds a little
so let's
spice.
go freak out. Yeah. I'm going to have so many gallons of gas laying around in my basement. I get drunk and go down there and flip my cigarette. The whole thing goes off. Top goes off. The only thing I'm hoarding are these Budweiser copper lagers back at home.
Yeah, your first stop was the liquor multi-store. Yeah.
Yes.
And you made out like a bandit.
I had 6 shopping carts daisy chained together at Total Wines with Natter Days.
And you're like, yeah, this is the best hand sanitizer out there, folks. And you're just dumping it down your body.
I think maybe the Budweiser copper lager would be a decent hand sanitizer.
Well,
there's
it's
some
supposed to be
tinctures in
60% alcohol for it to be effective, or something like that. 66%.
So 6 wouldn't be good enough. There's tinctures in here, though. I can tell you that much right now.
Enough with the tinctures. Where did that even come from? It
You
doesn't
said
say.
it.
No, I didn't.
You said I think there's a little bit extra in here. Tinctures.
And then you said tinctures.
Yeah.
I said a little extract, bourbon extract.
Tinctures. That's what you were saying. You're almost finished with this. What do you think about the bottom of the barrel, so to speak?
Always where the best stuff is, the bottom of the barrel. I mean, it's fine. I don't think it's parable, unfortunately. I do love the Sun Puffs, but I'm going to throw that away.
Yeah, it's terrible. Not parable at all.
So the bottom, you just finished yours. How was it?
I have one more drink left, which I'm hesitant to take. I genuinely don't really like this.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure. I don't want to leap us right into the rankings, but I'm not.
I think we should.
Well, I'm not entirely sure that this belongs in the rankings. So this is an alternative, right?
This would be an
It's
alternative.
not a new opportunity. This is an alternative
of fame.
Yeah, I would say if I had to give a take. Well, let's not give a take yet. Do we have a beer advocate for this?
Thanks for asking, Joe. I've been sitting on this segment all day. We've got. I'll start with a ranking from Beer Danza.
Okay, Beer Danza.
Tony's
Hold me closer,
cousin.
Beer
Yeah.
Danza.
He says, so I'm like a bourbon barrel-aged lager? I had to try it. I felt kind of dirty buying Budweiser. It's my go-to beer to hate.
Oh,
Anyway.
my go-to beer to hate. Fuck you, Tony Danza.
Anyway, poured it into a beer mug. The color's very attractive. A beautiful, clear copper red. This ain't Bud Light, folks. Smells not very complex, just some malty sweetness with the slightest hint of bourbon. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But it's very nice. Taste follows smell, very sweet and malty, but not corny. A very slight bourbon bite, but not much. Some metallic taste lingers, which I don't find offensive. Mouthfeel is thin, but not watery.
Fuck off forever. Everybody
Overall,
at
he's
Beer
glad he
Advocate
tried
can
it.
Fuck off.
Oh, and he actually compared it to... Oh, yeah, he says perhaps a first step in training to have your first New Holland Dragon's Milk, which is the one I referenced
really?
earlier. Yeah.
You're turning
That's
into
weird.
Beer Danza.
I'm Beer Danza. Maybe I'm a long-lost cousin of Beer Danza.
I think that the telling line in that whole thing was...
Beer Danza?
No, my go-to beer to hate is
Sure.
Budweiser. That's just exactly what type of person this is.
He's got a little spunk to him. He's got a
love
little
to troll.
personality.
I love to hate. I love to spend my time making people miserable.
I don't know if that's what they're going for, but okay.
Isn't it?
He
To
he or
hold
she,
themselves to a higher standard than everyone else?
They give it a 2.91 out of 5.
It's all that, and then they gave it like a shit review?
Maybe
Fuck them.
Maybe it's more fair what they're... You're right. They did say almost all good things. Overall, though, the beer has an 80 or good.
I guarantee that Beer Danza he doesn't have any genuine opinions of his or her own, and they go to fucking Twitter or Reddit or whatever to figure out what beers they're supposed to like. I guarantee it.
Why do you think that?
Because of
From
the
that
sentence,
one, totally.
Budweiser is my go-to beer to hate.
They're trying to have a little personality.
They suck. That line sucked, and Beer Danza sucks.
Beer Danza, sound off.
Beer Danza sounds like he's Mayor Pete. That's who this is. Mayor
Oh,
Pete
boy.
left that
You
review.
loved Mayor Pete early on.
I was a rap boy for a while. But then I evolved.
When do we decide which candidates' appearances we can make fun of and which we can't?
What do you mean?
You're calling him a rat boy.
That's true, I am. We can decide whatever we want.
Okay.
Should Cold Cans come out and officially endorse a candidate? You can get those like official endorsement images online.
Oh, yeah. For our, we could do it on Instagram or something. Who would be
Right.
our official one? Who's pro beer? It's got to be Biden, right?
Yeah.
Most pro beer.
I wonder what Bernie drinks.
Yeah. Probably nothing these days, right?
Sure.
Both those guys should not be drinking alcohol.
No, it feels like they both strike me as beer guys. Trump doesn't touch alcohol. Did you know that? He's
Right.
like, never drinks.
Hasn't for years, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
That is a great anecdote.
So
I mean, most older people should not be drinking alcohol. It's probably their doctors telling them
Yeah.
to not drink alcohol.
yeah, I agree.
Would
So-
you ever give up alcohol if your doctor told you not to?
told me not to give it up?
Sorry, told you not to
Take that
drink
as
it?
free reign to go forever. I mean, I'd like to say yes, but I don't know. I like beer a lot. I mean, I've done
Yeah.
a podcast here in 104
You
episodes.
still like
on it.
beer.
I still like beer. Yeah, I know what kind of beers our Supreme Court justices like. Squib
boy.
and squeeze.
I'm sort of jealous. I don't have any like weird. I guess we have some weird like high school friends with weird nicknames.
Like
but
who?
like it's funny when those stories come out and like and
Nine
same with like
Toes?
Mike Mitchell. Yeah,
Nine Toes and Soda Pop.
right. Soda Pop, Dirty, I guess.
Dirty?
Would be
Yeah, we got
decent
plenty of
one.
them.
I guess we got
So when you're being like inducted into the Supreme Court, you go, I still like beer.
and yeah.
I was going down to visit Nine Toes.
I just love the idea of these childhood names coming out in these giant stories with huge implications.
And Nine Toes.
Me, Squib, Barney, and
Yeah.
Glowbox.
love that too. Because they're going through his like diary,
Uh-huh.
so he has to formally still call him Squib. And presumably Squib is like a well-adjusted middle-aged man.
Sure,
that's
yeah.
Just like he's a manager at a manufacturing plant, and now he sees himself on TV. Ah, boy. Okay, let's get to this ranking. So this is an alternative, as we've established.
Yeah.
This
so that would
means-
mean, yeah.
This means that we would pick a tier that it belongs in and then
Right.
decide if it's worthy of being in. Because this isn't, like, obviously it's better than our lower tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's better than a lot of the deplorable beers or certainly the Russian radioactives.
Mm.
But it feels like the territory this beer should be in as I scroll through. I'm going through the mild cards. I don't know.
Got
To
a
me,
basket full of deplorables.
this would fill in the wild card tier.
Do you remember the 2016 election, Joe? The basket full of deplorables.
Basketful?
Isn't that what she said?
I don't think so. I thought she just called them deplorables.
No. I thought it was a whole basket full. Let me look it up.
All right, you look it up.
Basket of deplorables.
So the wild card tier feels, because there's like Overcast Espresso Stout is in there. There's some complex beers in there. Night Swim Porter, Great Lakes Christmas Ale, stuff like that. And I would be hesitant to, if like we were ranking this and it had to go in the rankings, I would be hesitant to put it any higher than that. So I would have landed this in the wild card somewhere.
Say it again. Oh, wild cards?
Yeah,
wow.
That's 28 through 44. It feels
Really?
like it feels like the quality of beer is similar to Night Swim Porter, to Overcast Espresso Stout, things like that. I don't like it though. So here's my take. This is I thought what the point of our system was. We put it in a tier that we believe it belongs in, and then decide whether it actually should go in that tier or be exercised straight to the graveyard.
Right. I don't agree that it would be in wild card.
Where would you have put it?
I was in deplorables.
Oh, really?
And I still don't think it would be ranked.
Well, you would have put it ahead of
It's
what?
at the bottom of the basket.
You would have put it in the Russian radioactives? You've
No, I
lost
said
your mind.
deplorables.
Oh, you did. I thought you said it still wouldn't be in that.
No, I was. Yeah.
I get what you're saying. So okay,
yeah,
fine.
Yeah.
Either way, my answer is going to be the same. So yes, deplorables is where it should be.
You're right. We're arguing over. We're picking nits, Joe.
I don't want to
Why
pick
are we
any more
picking
nits.
Get your hands away from me.
That's for the establishment. That's forced us to think like this. We need to break free.
He's right, though. I'm so sick of this. I think people who get upset about what he's saying are like, oh, yeah, that's right. I like being the establishment. I forgot.
Yeah.
Most of this benefits me.
Yeah. My taxes are better this year than they were last year, which is certainly true.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. That's right.
And so, yeah, I like that stuff. Even though all the ideology behind what he's saying, I think everybody would agree with. Maybe not. Good Lord.
I wouldn't say that. I don't think everyone agrees with it by any means.
Well, okay.
I think
I know that.
And what's the biggest thing going against him now? That like he won't work with anybody. That's what everybody's saying.
He won't get anything
He's abrasive
done
or something
because he's just ideologies and not. Joe Biden will put the boots on the ground.
Sure, reach across the aisle
and tug and pull until he gets something done.
I don't think there's any. I haven't heard any great evidence that that's true. That Bernie can't do anything with other people.
I agree with that.
And I think people just get upset with his supporters on Twitter. That's it.
Yeah.
And then they extend that to him, which isn't fair.
And because the Twitter world does not extend to the general voting public, I don't think that's a huge idea if Bernie's the nominee and reaches the general election.
Right.
The only thing that could dethrone him is like the Trump spinning him as a socialist, and that makes everybody afraid because they don't understand.
Oh, yeah. I think those are valid fears.
Well, there's a difference between democratic socialism and communism, and he's not advocating for the latter. He's advocating for an elected system that implements for the richest country in the world,
right,
safety nets and a logical system for healthcare, which I would agree with. Mm-hmm. It's got very deep.
I don't know why I did that again.
Well, I felt strongly, but I feel as strongly about this, as I feel about this beer.
Wow,
the Budweiser Copper Lager not making these rankings.
I do too. It's trash. I wish you wouldn't have brought it in. I wish we wouldn't have recorded today. I'm tired of talking about my history with tinctures, and I will have no further comment from this point on. Thank you.
What I would like. So now that Nick has dropped out, he's just left the room. He left the room in a huff. His pants split down the middle. It was embarrassing. But what I would like to do is call in Brody Ovac, my my personal exorcist. I've been working with Brody to perform exorcisms on me for years now, and I'd like to figure out a way to exorcise the demons that Budweiser Copper Lager has placed inside my body. Brody, thanks for joining us again.
Brother Joey, thank you.
I don't think that was the same voice
Thank you.
as you had the last time. Did you go through some sort of transformation?
Last time, I later discovered I had a demon within me.
Oh,
self-exorcism? That was speaking on my behalf. This is the real me now.
Oh, wow. Is that why
I
when your eyes rolled?
self-exorcised my eyes rolled back as I was overtaken by the demon last time.
When you were practicing Zen?
Now, a self-exorcism is very similar to a self-Heimlich maneuver.
Oh, okay.
You would just have to
it?
find a chair,
Physically.
preferably a bar stool with a back on it, so
Okay.
it's high enough for a man of my stature.
Okay.
How tall was I?
You sound a
6'6"?
lot like Nick, who just left, my friend. I don't believe you've ever met Nick because your eyes were rolled in the back of your head the last time that you were here.
No, but I did listen back to that episode, and
Yeah.
it was nice to hear you guys come together as one and recognize that really we're all one in this world under the watchful eye of Mr. Bernard Sanders.
We're all people. It's a man of the people. We're here to reunite, but nonetheless, start a revolution.
So now, I broke my ribs as I self-exercised over the back of the bar stool.
Yeah, you're like 6'6", I believe.
Yeah,
by the
I'm
way.
6'6". I have massive bar stools with backs on them in my penthouse.
Yeah, in Tokyo.
In Tokyo. And I also just bought this building that the studio's in, by the way.
Oh!
I came down from the elevator up top.
Well, thank you, boss. I'll click my heels together, give you a salute on the way out.
We don't do that here.
Oh, that's cool. That's chill. Am I going to have to recharge scooter? Is that what we were doing? Recharging scooters the last time or was that the demon?
That was the capitalist demon inside of me. Now that the gospel of Mr. Bernie Sanders has overtaken me, I don't do that anymore.
Brody, it's great to hear what you're talking about. What I encourage you to do is canvass tomorrow night in Bellevue at 9 p.m. You can be out there in the Seattle Central College. Did I say Bellevue? Seattle Central College canvassing for me. Thank you, Bernie. Get away.
It was cool to see him here.
It was. And
He's really a personal savior to me.
In reality, I think Brody, just to be frank with you, I like you about as much as I liked Budweiser Copper Lager, and I don't want it around anymore.
Why did you invite me in the studio?
You were walking around. I think you had just bought the building. We saw you out there. And Nick also said he would say nothing more on the matter and went out in a huff. Did you see that he split his pants when he was on his way out?
I did.
It's kind of funny.
I did, and I said, "Brother, please take my pants."
That
and as you'll see,
explains what.
Yes.
Yeah. That's part of
Hope
why
I'm
I
not
felt
making you
uncomfortable. Yeah, it's part of it.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother.
It doesn't make me uncomfortable. I felt perfectly comfortable in this since 1984 when I was canvassing in Vermont. Okay. So what did we do? We expelled it from the rankings. We exercised. Should we call that, Brody? I know you don't really have much of a stake, but now that Nick
Sure.
left, I'd like you to make a
Sure.
call. Should we call this exorcisms? Like when they don't even make it into the rankings? Because we have a graveyard for beers that made it into the rankings and are now gone.
May they rest in peace.
Did
brother.
we get possessed? Any one of these beers that we drank and then said, no, we don't want. Were we possessed by a demon and then exorcised of that demon?
You know, what I really like to see with these rankings as an outside observer is to see them become more complicated. So I would love to see you create another section on the website for zombie exorcised beers. That sounds like a great idea.
I'm also a big proponent of complicated policies.
And websites that don't work. Hey, Affordable Care Act, much heard of it?
You sound just like my friend. All right. I'm done here too then. I think we've reached our zenith. I think we've made the points that we needed to make. Bernie, you have anything to say on the way out?
I have one thing left to say, and that's that the beer tier system is a fluid system available for everybody to consume. The tiers themselves are fluid. They may move in and out and grow and shrink over time. I agreed with Joey on that point. And the top 1% of the top 1% of the 103 beers analyzed in this podcast need to be re-examined, and the bottom beers need to come up because there's no.